Stardust The Journey by Ruth Marie Mathias.
It was back in the days when there were a lot of cats on Earth. They were all very furry and friendly cats. They would gather together once a year in a small place called Niwot. While they were there, all the cats would choose one among them to receive a special cat honor. The one chosen would wear a very fine coat with a large gold-lined pocket. At the end of 1 year, the cat who wore the very fine cat coat would have to return with the gold-lined pocket filled with new and magical wonders to share with the others. It was a very high and prestigious honor, and it went to the one cat who was perceived by the entire group as the most wise and trustworthy of them all. As the Earth's cats gathered, they counted the many blessings they had received from their journeys that year. Many of them thought they were very fortunate to have returned at all, and couldn't possibly imagine filling the gold-lined pocket of the fine cat coat with new and wonderful magic. They pondered who the next cat in the coat would be, when a small voice rose above the crowd. "I will wear this very fine cat coat, and I will return to you next year with the gold-lined pockets filled." They were all pleased to see that it was Stardust. They gently wrapped the fine cat coat around Stardust's shoulders, and the magical celebration of dancing and music began. All the furry cats wished Stardust well on her journey. Stardust went off knowing her mission was much different than other years. She didn't know for sure why she was granted this fine honor, but somehow they all knew it really was her time. After traveling for several months, Stardust decided to stay at an inn at the edge of the forest where many of the cats strayed on their travels. When she got to her room, Stardust lay down in her fine cat coat and gave a big sigh. "Oh," thought Stardust as her eyes began to close. She was remembering how one small blue feather floated into her gold-lined pocket one evening as she camped along the way. Stardust yawned and stroked her fine coat. She didn't know what magic, if any, this small blue feather held. And as she thought about this, she drifted off to sleep. The next morning, Stardust awoke realizing the small blue feather surely must be of some magic to have landed in her gold-lined pocket of this fine cat coat. "So I will leave it there," thought Stardust. Stardust was ready to continue on her journey. Upon deciding what direction to take, a strong gust of wind blew Stardust along the pathway into the forest. The feather came flying from her pocket and was being carried by the wind. It was floating through the air when it finally landed beneath a large oak tree. Stardust quickly gathered the feather when a leaf from the large oak tree gently fell into her pocket below. "This is a curious thing," thought Stardust. "Surely the leaf must be of some magic to have landed in my pocket, so I will leave it there." Not thinking any more about it, Stardust trotted off with one small blue feather and a bright green leaf resting in her gold-lined pocket. There wasn't much time for Stardust to travel even farther, for she had come a great distance. She would have to decide soon on a way to return to the small place called Niwot for the yearly celebration of music and magic. Stardust felt it would be best to take a different route from the way she had come. She had traveled this way a long, long time ago, and remembered how special it made her feel. So that's the way she went. She called it the Valley of Lakes. It took several months just to reach the valley, and Stardust had not discovered any new or exciting wonders to put into her gold-lined pocket. She did not even know for sure what magic, if any, the feather and leaf held. She began to doubt the whole journey as she sat beside one of the lakes in the valley, softly stroking the fine cat coat. What does all this mean? What will I return with? Thought Stardust. Soon Stardust laid her head down and took her daily cat nap, which she had not done for the last 3 days of travel. She was feeling very, very tired. As Stardust was sleeping, she had a special dream. She dreamed a fish came out of the lake and whispered something in her ear. The fish then dropped a very smooth stone into her gold-lined pocket and flopped back into the water with a loud splash. Stardust suddenly awoke from her cat nap. She didn't know how long she had been sleeping, but knew she must hurry on. Stardust had only walked a short distance along the lake shore when she began to remember her dream. She slowly reached into her pocket and pulled out one small blue feather, one bright green leaf, and one very smooth stone. She sat down on the shore and was very, very quiet. She just held these 3 things in her hand and sat very, very quietly. I am the feather that you now hold, and I laid myself in your pocket of gold, for I am the heart of the magic of old. I am the leaf that dresses the trees. I come to you with the greatest of ease, for I can feel even the slightest of breeze. I am the stone, and it is quite clear why it is I hear what I hear, for I hold the sun's rays ever so dear. Stardust listened to all these words. She didn't know how she would tell all her cat friends what she had heard, for she really wasn't sure herself. The feather, the leaf, and the stone all chanted, "Don't worry, Stardust. Bring us to your gathering in your gold-lined pocket, and the rest will unfold." Oh yes, how perfect, Stardust thought. She went on her way and arrived at Niwot, wearing the fine cat coat, and feeling the magic that was filling her gold-lined pocket. It was exactly 1 year from the day she had left. Stardust walked into the center of the gathering. The crowd grew bigger and bigger. Everyone was very excited to see each other, and especially Stardust. "So what did you bring us?" one large cat called out. She slowly reached into her gold-lined pocket, and one by one she took them out. A small blue feather, a bright green leaf, and a very smooth stone. She held them in her hands and began to explain how she didn't really find these 3 things. Instead, they found her gold-lined pocket, and she left them there, thinking they surely must be of some magic. The crowd began to chatter with excitement, but didn't quite understand how these things were so magical or grand. Stardust raised her hands above the crowd and felt the magic that she held. The entire gathering perked up their ears, and this is what they heard. Quiet. Stone quiet. Stardust suddenly remembered what the fish had whispered to her in her dream, and she whispered it to the crowd gathered round her. The small blue feather is a piece of the sky, and will guide you always, for it is the earth's eye. The bright green leaf will teach you to feel, for all leaves feel what really is real. This stone I place in your pocket now will help you remember a wise, silent vow. Stones hold the sun's rays of warmth and light, and echo the sounds of a feather in flight. And all the cats knew they had been given a very precious and magical new gift, a miracle beyond words.